Welcome to Chosen Light. Have you ever wondered why your prayers seem to hit a brick wall? Why the promises you've clung to for decades feel like empty echoes? Why everyone else seems to get their breakthrough while you're still standing in the hallway of hope, knocking on doors that never open? Stop. Chosen One, this is not a coincidence. The fact that you're here, right now, reading these words at this exact moment, means the wait is over and heaven is moving toward you. But the meeting that's about to happen will change everything you thought you knew about your life. I need to tell you something that's going to shock you. That crushing disappointment you've carried, those sleepless nights when you questioned if God forgot your address, every closed door, every delayed answer, every moment you felt invisible to heaven, it wasn't abandonment. If your spirit's already stirring, type "I'm ready" in the comments. Let heaven and earth know you're listening. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. You weren't forgotten. You were hidden. Like a master craftsman working on his finest piece behind closed doors, God has been preparing something so profound, so earth-shaking, that revealing it too early would have destroyed you. It's like waiting for a train on an empty platform in the dead of winter. Everyone else caught theirs. The station feels abandoned. You're questioning if you missed your ride. But tonight, right now, the whistle is finally echoing in the distance. And this train has your name on it. What I'm about to share will sound impossible. Some of you will want to click away because it challenges everything you've believed about timing, about worthiness, about why good people suffer. But for those chosen few who stay, those who've carried the weight and refuse to drop their faith, you're about to witness the shocking meeting that changes everything. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead. The room where this meeting takes place has been under construction for years. Every tear you cried, that was the foundation being poured. Every prayer that seemed unanswered, that was the walls being raised. Every moment you almost gave up, that was the final touches being added. The invitation has been sent, the appointment is set, and you are the guest of honor. Don't you dare look away now. How many times have you sat in church, surrounded by people praising God for answered prayers, while your own requests feel like they're written in invisible ink? How long have you carried that ache in your chest, the one that whispers you're somehow different, somehow forgotten? How many decades have you watched the calendar pages fall like autumn leaves, each year taking another piece of your hope with it? I see you there, sitting in that favorite chair where you've shed 1,000 tears, that same spot where you've wrestled with questions that would shake most people's faith to its core. You've been waiting so long, haven't you? Waiting for that phone call that changes everything. Waiting for that healing that restores what was stolen. Waiting for that relationship to be mended. Waiting for God to finally show up in your story the way He seems to show up in everyone else's. Let me paint you a picture of what your wait has looked like. Remember when your own children stopped believing in what you carried? When your prayers for their salvation turned into arguments around the dinner table? When the very people you birthed and raised looked at your faith like it was some relic from a bygone era? You kept praying anyway, even when they rolled their eyes, even when they stopped coming to visit as often, even when holidays became minefields of unspoken tensions. The Bible tells us in Psalm 27:10, "When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up." But what it doesn't tell you is how much that forsaking would hurt when it happened slowly, gradually, like watching someone you love disappear one conversation at a time. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? That moment when you realized your spouse had stopped saying amen to your prayers. When your grandchildren started looking at you like you were speaking a foreign language every time you mentioned Jesus. When your closest friends began avoiding certain topics because your faith made them uncomfortable. And the prayers, oh, the prayers. Decades of them, rising from your lips like incense, only to seem to hit that ceiling and fall back down like cold rain. You've prayed for healing that never came. You've interceded for loved ones who only drifted further away. You've stood on promises that felt like they were written for everyone but you. Ask, and you shall receive, Jesus said in John 16:24. But what happens when you've been asking for 40 years? What happens when your knees have worn thin the carpet beside your bed, and heaven still feels silent as a tomb? You've watched friends half your age receive the very miracles you've been believing for. You've seen new converts get instant breakthroughs, while you faithful, consistent, unwavering you remain in the waiting room of heaven. And somewhere along the way, you started wondering if maybe God operates on a different frequency than yours. Maybe your prayers are on the wrong channel. Maybe you missed something crucial in the fine print of faith. The years have been cruel teachers, haven't they? Each birthday, a reminder that time is not your friend. Each doctor's visit, a countdown you never wanted to start. Each funeral of a friend, a whisper that your window might be closing. And still, you hold on, not because it makes sense anymore, but because letting go feels like betraying everything you've built your life upon. You've become fluent in the language of spiritual seasons. You know all about winter seasons and wilderness wanderings. You can quote Romans 8:28, your sleep, all things work together for good to them that love God. But knowing it and feeling it are two different countries, separated by an ocean of lived experience. Picture a farmer's field in the dead of February in upstate New York. Snow 3 feet deep, no sign of life anywhere. The ground hard as concrete. If you didn't know better, you'd swear nothing could ever grow there again. That field looks barren, abandoned, forgotten, just like your prayers have felt, just like your faith has looked to others, just like your hope has appeared even to yourself on the darkest nights. But here's what you can't see under all that snow. The roots are growing. In the frozen silence, in the apparent death, in the crushing weight of winter, life is happening. Deep beneath the surface, where no eye can witness and no hand can measure, the most crucial work is being done. The roots are spreading wider than they ever have. They're reaching deeper than the summer sun ever required. They're preparing for a harvest that will astound everyone who wrote off that field as dead. You are that field. Your waiting hasn't been wasted. Your silence hasn't been abandonment. Your delays haven't been denials. Every year that passed without the answer you prayed for, God was building something underground, something the surface couldn't hold, something your earlier faith wasn't strong enough to sustain. The loneliness you felt, that crushing sense that you're the only one who still believes what you believe, that wasn't punishment. That was preparation. God has been isolating you from voices that would have talked you out of what He's about to do. He's been separating you from influences that would have diminished your hunger for His presence. You thought you were being overlooked. You were being prepared. You thought you were being forgotten. You were being positioned. You thought God was silent. He was building. But here's what you didn't see. While you thought nothing was happening, heaven was building the room where this meeting will take place. Every tear you cried became a brick in its foundation. Every sleepless night you spent in prayer became a beam in its structure. Every moment you chose to believe when believing made no sense became a window through which His glory will shine. The enemy wanted you to think your wait was punishment. God needed you to understand your wait was preparation. The delay wasn't divine cruelty, it was divine construction. And what He's been building in the secret place is about to be revealed in the public place. If you've ever felt overlooked by God, stay with me. You're about to see why the delay was divine. Because the meeting that's coming isn't just going to answer your prayers, it's going to exceed them in ways that will make every year of waiting feel like it was worth it. The silence is about to break, and when it does, the sound will be your name being called by the one who never forgot you. But wait, do you hear that? Something just shifted in the atmosphere around you. Right now, as you're listening to these words, there's a stirring in the heavenly realm that's been building for decades. The cosmic alarm clock that's been set since before you were born is about to ring, and when it does, everything changes. I need you to understand something that's going to sound impossible, but I'm going to say it anyway, because the Spirit of God is compelling me to speak it. Your wait is over. Not next year. Not when you finally get your act together. Not when you prove yourself worthy one more time. Right now, today, this moment. You feel it, don't you? That electricity in your spirit that you haven't felt in years. That's not nostalgia. That's not wishful thinking. That's the sound of heaven's machinery grinding back to life over your situation. The gears that seemed rusted shut with neglect are beginning to turn again, and they're turning with the momentum of divine purpose. Picture this. It's 5:47 a.m. in Manhattan. The city is still wrapped in pre-dawn darkness. Skyscrapers stand like silent giants against the black sky. Not a soul believes that morning is coming. The night has been so long, so cold, so seemingly endless that even the sun seems to have given up. But then suddenly one golden ray pierces through the canyon of concrete and steel. Just one. But that single ray carries within it the promise that darkness has lost its grip. That ray is breaking through the silence over your life right now. God's voice, the same voice that spoke worlds into existence, is cutting through decades of apparent delay like a sword through fabric. Isaiah 60:1 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you." Arise, not eventually, not gradually. Arise, right now. Your light, the breakthrough you've been waiting for, the miracle you've been believing for, the restoration you've been crying for, it has come. Present tense, not coming, come. But here's what's happening that you can't see with natural eyes. Heaven's war room has been in session. For years, angels have been receiving intelligence reports about your faithfulness. Every prayer you thought bounced off the ceiling was actually being filed in heaven's archives. Every tear you shed in secret was being collected in God's bottle, just like Psalm 56:8 promises. Every time you chose to believe when believing made no sense was being recorded as evidence of your qualification for what's coming next. The enemy thought he had you defeated. He thought the silence would break your resolve. He thought the delays would erode your faith. He thought the loneliness would convince you to abandon your post. But what the enemy didn't count on was this. God wasn't delaying your blessing. He was preparing you to handle it. You see, what God is about to release into your life is so massive, so earth-shaking, so beyond anything you've imagined, that releasing it too early would have destroyed you. Like trying to pour a gallon of water into a shot glass, the container has to be enlarged before the blessing can be released. Every year of waiting enlarged your capacity. Every season of silence strengthened your foundation. Every moment of apparent abandonment was actually God's way of preparing you for overflow. You thought He was withholding. He was building your ability to contain what He's about to pour out. The message I'm about to reveal is not for everyone. It's not for the casual believer who wants God to fit into their schedule. It's not for the fair-weather faithful who abandon ship at the first sign of turbulence. This message is only for those who have carried the weight and refused to drop their faith. Only for those who have stood in the storm and declared, "Though He slay me, yet will I trust Him." only for those who have earned their stripes in the school of divine delay and graduated with honors in the curriculum of unanswered prayer. Are you one of those? Have you paid the price in tears and sleepless nights? Have you stood alone when everyone else walked away? Have you believed God's promises when every circumstance screamed they were lies? Then this announcement is for you. Right now, in the courts of heaven, a gavel is being raised. The judge of all the earth is about to render a verdict that will vindicate every moment of your faithfulness. The case that's been pending in heaven's docket, the one labeled with your name, is being called to order. And the ruling is about to come down in your favor. But this isn't just about getting what you've been asking for. This is about something far more profound, far more mysterious, far more world-changing than answered prayer. God isn't just preparing to give you something. He's preparing to meet with you, face to face, heart to heart, spirit to spirit. Moses had his burning bush. Abraham had his covenant under the stars. Jacob had his wrestling match with the angel. David had his shepherd's field revelations. And you, yes, you who have been forgotten by everyone else, you are about to have your moment when heaven invades earth in your living room. The meeting that's coming isn't a casual conversation. It's not a gentle pat on the head with a there, everything will be okay. This is a divine encounter that will recalibrate your entire existence. This is God stepping out of eternity and into your timeline to personally deliver news that will change everything you thought you knew about your purpose, your destiny, your remaining years on this earth. What I'm about to tell you next will sound so incredible that your mind will want to reject it. But your spirit knows I'm telling the truth. Because your spirit has been preparing for this moment. Your spirit has been sensing that something monumental was approaching. Your spirit has been restless lately, hasn't it? Like a woman in the final hours of labor, sensing that the waiting is almost over. The wait has ended because heaven's clock just struck your name, not your neighbor's name, not the pastor's name, not the person who seems to have it all together. Your name. The same name that was written in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world. The same name that was whispered over you in your mother's womb. The same name that has been on God's lips every day of your seemingly forgotten existence. He's been waiting for this moment just as much as you have. The King of Glory, the Ancient of Days, the Alpha and Omega, has been counting down to this divine appointment with as much anticipation as you've had in waiting for it. Because what he's about to share with you isn't just about your breakthrough, it's about your assignment in the final chapter of human history. But what exactly is this meeting about? What is God going to say that requires such dramatic preparation? What is he going to reveal that needed decades of silence to set up? The answer will shock you to your core and change everything you thought you knew about why you're still here. The silence you've been living in is about to shatter, not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. Right now, as you're listening to these words, something is shifting in the atmosphere around you. Can you feel it? That sudden awareness that you're not alone anymore. That sense that someone just walked into the room who wasn't there a moment ago. This is it. This is the moment your decades of waiting have been building toward. The appointment heaven scheduled before you even knew you needed it. Picture this. It's midnight in your own home. The house is quiet. Everyone else is asleep. You're in that space between exhaustion and restlessness, when your mind won't stop replaying all the disappointments, all the prayers that seem to go nowhere. Then you hear it, a knock at the door. Not violent, not demanding, just certain. Like whoever is knocking knows they belong there. Your heart stops. Who knocks at midnight? In our world, midnight visitors bring bad news, police officers with devastating updates, emergency calls from hospitals, chaos dressed up in crisis. But this knock is different. It carries weight, yes, but not the weight of tragedy, the weight of majesty. You move toward the door, every step heavy with questions. When you look through the peephole, you can't see anyone. But that presence, that undeniable knowing that someone of immense importance is waiting, it's overwhelming. Your hand trembles as you reach for the lock. When you open that door, it's not trouble standing there. It's the King. This is exactly what's happening to you right now, chosen one. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. The King of Kings is knocking on the door of your heart, your circumstance, your situation that has felt locked up for far too long. And he's not coming as a distant deity making house calls. He's coming as the one who has been waiting for this exact moment to reveal what he's been preparing in secret. Think about Moses, minding his own business in the desert, just trying to make it through another day as a shepherd, 80 years old. His dreams of delivering Israel were buried under 4 decades of disappointment. Then he sees a bush burning but not being consumed. Exodus 3-4 says, "When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush." God was waiting for Moses to notice, waiting for him to turn aside from the routine and acknowledge the supernatural. Right now, you're Moses turning toward the burning bush. This message, this moment, this stirring in your spirit, this is your burning bush. God has been waiting for you to turn aside from the ordinary disappointment long enough to see the extraordinary visitation that's been prepared for you. Remember Mary, going about her daily routine in Nazareth, young, unknown, unremarkable by human standards. Then Gabriel appears with an announcement that changes everything. "Hail, thou that art highly favored, the Lord is with thee." Luke 1:28. Notice Gabriel didn't apologize for interrupting her day, didn't ask permission to deliver a message that would turn her world upside down. Heaven's announcements don't wait for convenient timing. Your meeting is happening the same way. You weren't expecting it. You weren't prepared for it. You might not even feel worthy of it. But worthiness was never the qualification. Availability was. And you've been available in your waiting. You've been available in your disappointment. You've been available in your questioning. That availability just qualified you for a divine appointment you never saw coming. The air around you is shifting. If you're sensitive to spiritual atmosphere, and as a chosen one, you can feel it. The temperature of your circumstances is changing. Your heart is beating differently. There's a knowing rising up from somewhere deeper than your mind, somewhere more certain than your emotions. You're not alone anymore. All those nights you cried yourself to sleep, thinking God had forgotten your address. He was writing the invitation to this meeting. Every time you felt invisible to heaven, the details of this encounter were being finalized. Every prayer you thought bounced off the ceiling was actually being recorded, catalogued, and prepared for response in this singular moment. Pause right now, say out loud, "I'm ready for the meeting." Don't just think it, speak it. Let heaven and earth hear your agreement with what God is orchestrating. This isn't positive thinking. This is prophetic declaration. You're announcing to every force that has tried to delay this moment that the wait is over. Feel that shift when you speak those words. That sudden sense that you just stepped across a threshold you can't see but can absolutely sense. That's because you did. You just moved from waiting to meeting, from hoping to receiving, from believing for to walking in. Here's what you need to understand about this meeting. This isn't God dropping by for a casual conversation about your feelings. This isn't therapy with the Almighty. This isn't even just answered prayer, though prayers will be answered. This meeting is a commissioning. You're being called into service at the highest level. In biblical times, when a king summoned someone to his presence, he didn't just want to chat. He had an assignment, a mission, a scroll with instructions that would change the trajectory of that person's entire existence. David was anointed as a shepherd boy for a throne he wouldn't occupy for years. Jeremiah was called as a prophet before he was old enough to believe he could speak for God. Esther was positioned for a purpose she couldn't have imagined when she was just a girl in exile. God is not just visiting you tonight. He's handing you the scroll with your next assignment. The reason the wait has been so long is because the assignment is so significant. The reason the preparation has been so thorough is because the purpose is so profound. The reason you've felt so isolated is because what you're about to carry requires a level of intimacy with Him that crowd-pleasing faith could never sustain. This meeting isn't about what you've been waiting for. It's about what you've been prepared for. The healing you've prayed for. That was preparation for the healing ministry you're about to walk in. The financial breakthrough you've needed. That was training for the resource management you're about to oversee. The restoration you've longed for, that was prerequisite for the restoration movement you're about to lead. The King has arrived, the meeting has begun, and you, faithful, waiting, prepared, you are about to discover that every tear was tuition for this moment. Are you ready to receive your assignment? The waiting room is emptying. Can you hear it? The shuffling of chairs being pushed back. The sound of your name being called from behind doors that have been locked for decades. This isn't a casual invitation to tea with the Almighty. This is a summons to the war room of heaven. Do you understand what just happened in that shocking meeting? You weren't just visited. You were recruited. You weren't just comforted. You were commissioned. The God of the universe didn't show up to pat you on the head and tell you everything's going to be okay. He showed up to hand you your marching orders for the final battle of human history. Listen carefully, chosen one. While you've been sitting in doctors' offices, wondering how many good years you have left, heaven has been preparing your assignment for the most crucial years you'll ever live. While society has been whispering that your best days are behind you, the King of Kings has been declaring that your most important days are directly ahead. Jeremiah 1-5 thunders across the centuries. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. Before your first breath, before your first step, before your first heartbreak, God already knew this moment would come. He knew you would need exactly the wisdom that only comes from decades of walking with Him. He knew the enemy would need to face someone who's been tested by time and refined by fire. You thought you were getting old. God knew you were getting ready. You thought your influence was shrinking. God knew your authority was expanding. You thought your opportunities were ending. God knew your greatest assignment was beginning. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to realize. While young warriors have passion, seasoned warriors have precision. While rookies have energy, veterans have endurance. While novices have enthusiasm, generals have execution. And right now, in this final hour of human history, God doesn't need more recruits. He needs more generals. Every betrayal you survived taught you to discern hearts. Every disappointment you endured built your resilience. Every year you've lived has been boot camp for this moment. The gray in your hair isn't a sign of decline, it's a badge of honor. The lines on your face aren't marks of aging, they're medals of service. You're not past your prime, you're at your peak. The world looks at your golden years and sees retirement. Heaven looks at your golden years and sees deployment. Society sees your age and whispers, step aside. God sees your age and declares, step forward. They want to put you in a rocking chair. He wants to put you in the front lines. Do you know why God waited until now to commission you? Because the final chapter of history requires soldiers who can't be intimidated by anything this world can throw at them. You've already lost loved ones and survived. You've already faced your mortality and made peace with it. You've already been disappointed by people and learned to trust only in God. Fear has no leverage over you anymore. Young believers worry about their reputation. You care about His glory. Young believers fear what people think. You fear only God. Young believers are concerned about building their empire. You're focused on expanding his kingdom. This is why you're being called now. This is why the meeting happened when it did. But here's what will shock you. Your commissioning isn't about going somewhere new. It's about seeing where you already are with new eyes. That nursing home you visit, that's your mission field. That neighborhood you've lived in for 30 years, that's your assigned territory. Those grandchildren who think faith is old-fashioned, they're your primary targets. God isn't asking you to cross an ocean. He's asking you to cross the street. He's not calling you to foreign lands. He's calling you to transform familiar places with supernatural power. You already have access where others can never go. You already have relationships others can never build. You already have influence others can never earn. The enemy has spent decades trying to convince you that your time is over. But here's the classified intelligence from heaven's war room. The battle for souls is about to intensify, and God needs soldiers who remember when America was different. He needs warriors who can testify to what this nation looked like when it honored him. He needs generals who can call this country back to its foundation. You are not just surviving your golden years, you are being drafted into the final mission. This isn't about enduring your remaining time. This is about dominating your defining time. The years ahead aren't your sunset, they're your sunrise. The chapters ahead aren't your epilogue, they're your crescendo. Every prayer you've prayed has been preparation for prayers you're about to pray that will shake nations. Every tear you've cried has been preparation for tears you're about to shed that will water revivals. Every year you've lived has been preparation for years you're about to live that will change everything. The commission is simple but not easy. You're being sent to your own Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria. Your family is Jerusalem, start there. Your community is Judea, expand there. Your sphere of influence is Samaria, impact there. You're not being asked to be Billy Graham. You're being asked to be you, but you empowered by the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead. This isn't about your ability, it's about your availability. This isn't about your strength, it's about your surrender. This isn't about your perfection, it's about your position. You've been positioned by Providence for this precise moment in history. The question isn't whether you're qualified, the question is whether you're willing. The King of Heaven is standing before you with a scroll in his hand. Written on that scroll is your name, your assignment, and your authority. He's extending it toward you right now. If you accept, declare it, I'm in. Because once you take that scroll, everything changes. The enemy will know you've been activated. The kingdom will know you've been authorized. And heaven will know you've accepted the most important assignment of your entire life. Are you ready to discover why you were kept alive for such a time as this? You thought the waiting was hard. You thought the silence was brutal. Child of God, let me tell you something that's going to shock you to your core. The moment heaven stamped approved on your divine meeting, hell went into full panic mode. The enemy just saw your crown, and now every demon in the pit is loading their arrows. Here's what they don't teach you in Sunday school. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the fiercer the battle becomes. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on nobodies. He doesn't send his best weapons against people who pose no threat to his kingdom. But you've just been marked as a high-value target. Think about it. You've been written off by the world. Your own family thinks your best days are behind you. Society treats you like you're invisible, just another senior citizen taking up space in the checkout line. But hell knows what earth has forgotten that God's most powerful warriors often come with silver hair and arthritic hands, that his mightiest moves happen through people the world has already counted out. Remember David facing Goliath? That giant wasn't threatened by the armies of Israel. He laughed at their weapons and their formations. But when one shepherd boy stepped onto the battlefield with nothing but a sling and 5 smooth stones, suddenly every Philistine in the valley started paying attention. Why? Because they recognized something the Israelites missed. This wasn't just a boy. This was heaven's secret weapon. You are that shepherd boy. You've been underestimated so long, you started believing it yourself. Like the seasoned marathon runner at the starting line, surrounded by 20-year-olds in fancy running gear, all stretch and swagger and sponsor logos. They see your worn sneakers and your modest pace, and they write you off before the gun even fires. But 20 miles in, when their flashy gear becomes dead weight and their untested endurance hits the wall, you're still running strong. You're still breathing steady. And suddenly, impossibly, you're pulling ahead. That's exactly what's happening in the spirit realm right now. The enemy thought you were finished. He thought your best years were in the rearview mirror. He thought your influence was spent. Your prayers had lost their power. Your faith had grown too weak to move mountains. But then heaven whispered your name for this divine appointment, and suddenly every calculation changed. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 6:12, "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." Translation: the fight you're about to face isn't coming from people who don't understand you. It's coming directly from the throne room of hell itself. Some of you will see the enemy try to derail this meeting. I'll tell you how to spot it in a moment. But first, you need to understand why this attack is actually proof that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Picture this. A king sits on his throne for 40 years, ruling in peace, no threats, no challenges, no opposition. Then one day, armies start gathering at his borders. Suddenly there are assassination attempts, political coups, economic warfare. Did he become weaker? Number. He finally became strong enough to threaten someone else's kingdom. That's you right now. For decades you've lived under the radar. Your prayers were personal, your faith was private, your influence was limited to your immediate circle. The enemy could afford to ignore you because you weren't disrupting his operations. But now heaven is about to commission you for something that will shake the foundations of darkness. Now you're about to receive authority that will make demons tremble. Now you're stepping into a level of spiritual power that hell absolutely cannot allow to go unchallenged. Let me tell you what this attack is going to look like. First, it's going to hit your body. Suddenly, that arthritis is going to flare up worse than it has in years. Your blood pressure is going to spike. You're going to feel exhausted for no reason. Your doctors are going to start using words like concerning and monitoring. Why? Because the enemy knows that if he can convince you that you're too weak, too sick, too old to step into this divine meeting, you might back down before it even begins. Second, it's going to hit your mind. Doubt is going to flood in like a tsunami. Who do you think you are? You're nobody special. God doesn't work that way anymore. You've been waiting this long. What makes you think anything's going to change now? These aren't your thoughts. These are weapons of mass destruction aimed at your faith. Third, it's going to hit your relationships. Watch how people start treating you differently. Watch how conversations shift when you mention God's faithfulness. Watch how family members who used to tolerate your faith suddenly become hostile. The enemy is turning up the heat on every relationship that matters to you, hoping the pressure will make you choose comfort over calling. But here's the truth that's going to set you free. You are not under attack because you're weak. You are under attack because you're about to become dangerously powerful. The enemy doesn't waste his best artillery on empty lots. He saves it for buildings that are about to house something important. In 1 Peter 5-8, we're warned that your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. But notice it doesn't say he devours everyone. It says he seeks whom he may devour. That word may is crucial. It means he's looking for those who don't know their authority, who don't understand their position, who don't realize they carry the very power that cast him out of heaven in the first place. The attacks are intensifying because the meeting is approaching. The arrows are flying because they see your crown. The battle is getting real because you're about to discover just how real your authority is. Every symptom, every setback, every sleepless night is not evidence that God has abandoned you. It's evidence that hell is terrified of what God is about to do through you. So when the enemy comes knocking, and he will, don't you dare open that door. When he sends his finest warriors against your peace, your health, your relationships, remember this: they wouldn't be fighting so hard if there wasn't something worth fighting for. You wouldn't be under siege if you weren't about to inherit a kingdom. The question isn't whether the attack is coming. The question is, will you recognize it for what it really is? Confirmation that your breakthrough is closer than you think. Listen to me carefully. Chosen one, the meeting is coming whether you're ready or not. But here's the brutal truth most people won't tell you. You can be invited to the most important moment of your life and still walk away empty-handed if you don't know how to receive what God is offering. I've watched too many people fumble their divine appointment because they showed up unprepared. They thought good intentions were enough. They assumed their desperation would carry them through. They were wrong. And I refuse to let that be your story. You've waited too long to mess this up now. The enemy knows this meeting is coming. He's been tracking your every move, studying your weaknesses, preparing his interference. Right now, as I speak these words, he's crafting distractions designed specifically for you. That argument with your adult child that's about to escalate, that health scare that's going to consume your thoughts, that financial pressure that's going to steal your peace. None of it is coincidence. It's strategy. But you're not going into this meeting defenseless. Tonight, I'm giving you the classified intel that will keep you standing when others fall. These aren't suggestions. These are survival instructions for the most critical moment of your spiritual life. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10 commands. But do you know why God demands stillness? Because in this meeting, He's going to speak at frequencies your soul has never heard before. Instructions that will sound impossible. Directions that will challenge everything you think you know about how God operates. The first thing that will try to sabotage you is your own mind. The moment you enter His presence, your thoughts will race like a New York subway at rush hour. Your to-do list will suddenly feel urgent. Your phone will buzz with emergencies. Your body will ache with restlessness. This is warfare, not coincidence. God is going to download decades of wisdom in moments. He's going to reveal strategies that took Moses 40 years to learn. He's going to show you shortcuts that bypass the wilderness completely. But if you can't still your spirit long enough to receive, you'll walk away with nothing but the memory of an opportunity you missed. Practice this tonight. Sit in complete silence for 10 minutes. When your mind wanders, don't fight it. Acknowledge it and return to stillness. This isn't meditation. This is military training for your spirit. The second you step into that divine meeting, you become a target. Not because God can't protect you, but because the enemy knows what you're about to receive. And he will throw everything he has at you to make you forfeit what's rightfully yours. Above all, taking the shield of faith, Ephesians 6:16 instructs. Your shield is built from two materials, prayer and the Word of God. Not casual prayer, not Sunday morning prayer. Combat prayer, the kind that wrestles with heaven until you receive an answer. Here's what most people don't understand. The Word of God isn't just comfort food for your soul, it's ammunition. When the enemy whispers, "You don't deserve this," you fire back with Romans 8:1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. When he says, "This is too good to be true," you reload with Ephesians 3:20. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think. But here's the part that will shock you. You need to be praying and declaring scripture before you feel like you need it. The meeting isn't the time to learn how to fight. It's the time to use weapons you've already mastered. Start tonight. Declare out loud, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Every tongue that rises against me in judgment, I condemn. This is my heritage as a servant of the Lord." Say it until your spirit believes it more than your circumstances. This is where most people lose everything. God speaks. They hesitate. They analyze. They seek confirmation from people who weren't invited to the meeting. And while they're deliberating, the opportunity dissolves like morning mist in Manhattan. In 1 Kings 19:20, when Elijah called Elisha, the young man asked to go kiss his parents goodbye first. Reasonable request, right? Wrong. Elijah's response was sharp. "Go back again, for what have I done to thee?" Translation: if you need to think about it, you're not ready. When God gives you instructions in this meeting, you'll have milliseconds to decide. Not days, not hours, milliseconds. Because divine opportunities operate on heaven's timetable, not your comfort zone. The instruction might sound crazy. It might contradict your logic. It might require you to do something that makes no sense to anyone watching. But remember this: the same God who told Noah to build an ark when it had never rained is the same God speaking to you now. Your obedience in that moment will determine whether you walk out of the meeting with a testimony or a regret. What God reveals to you in this meeting is classified information, not because it's secret, but because it's sacred. And sacred things require sacred handling. The moment you start sharing details with people who weren't called to your level, you give the enemy access to your strategy. Think about it. When military leaders receive classified orders, they don't post them on social media. They don't call their friends for advice. They protect the intel until the mission is complete. Your assignment is no different. Guard it, protect it, execute it. But here's the warning that could save your destiny. Not everyone in your circle wants to see you succeed. Some of the people closest to you have grown comfortable with your struggle. Your breakthrough threatens their excuses. Your elevation exposes their stagnation. When God promotes you, He also reveals who's really for you. Right now, before you watch another video, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, I need you to write these words in your journal. When He speaks, I will move. Don't let this moment fade into good intentions. The meeting is coming. Your strategy is set. The only question remaining is this: will you be the one who finally breaks through, or will you be another story of what could have been? The choice is yours, but choose quickly. Heaven's calendar doesn't wait for anyone. Out of all the people on earth, why you? Think about it. 7 billion souls walking this planet. Millions who seem more qualified, more polished, more put together than you'll ever be. People with perfect families, spotless reputations, and bank accounts that never see red. People who've never struggled with addiction, never buried a child, never sat in a divorce lawyer's office wondering how their life fell apart. So why you? You've asked this question 1,000 times, haven't you? Especially during those 3 a.m. moments when your failures parade through your mind like a military review. Remember that time you lost your temper and said things you can never take back? Remember when you made that choice that cost you everything you'd built? Remember when you stood at the crossroads and chose the path that led to heartbreak? You thought those moments disqualified you. You believed the enemy's lie that God only uses perfect people for perfect purposes. But let me show you something that will shatter every limitation you've placed on yourself. David was an adulterer and a murderer. Moses was a stutterer with a violent past. Jacob was a deceiver who stole his brother's birthright. Rahab was a prostitute. Paul persecuted Christians. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Abraham lied about his wife. Noah got drunk. Elijah was suicidal. And yet God called them chosen. The Bible doesn't say, in 1 Corinthians 1:27, God chose the strong. It says, God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. You see, the very things you think disqualify you are exactly what qualify you in God's economy. That bankruptcy you went through? It taught you that money isn't security, God is. That divorce that shattered your world, it showed you that human love fails, but divine love endures. That addiction you fought, it proved that you know what it means to be desperate for grace. You thought your scars made you useless. God knows they make you useful. Every mistake you've made, every failure you've endured, every wound you've received, they weren't random accidents in an uncaring universe. They were divine appointments preparing you for divine assignments. You thought you were falling apart. God knew you were being broken open so His light could shine through the cracks. Remember that woman at the well in John chapter 4? 5 failed marriages, living with a man who wasn't her husband, avoiding the other women in town because of the shame she carried. She went to draw water at noon, the hottest part of the day, just so she wouldn't have to face their judging eyes. If anyone should have been disqualified from ministry, it was her. But Jesus chose that moment, that woman, that mess, to reveal Himself as the Messiah, not to the religious leaders in their pristine robes, not to the wealthy merchants in their counting houses, to a broken woman with a shattered reputation carrying an empty water jar. And through her testimony, her messy, imperfect, scandalous testimony, an entire city came to know Jesus. You are that woman. Your testimony isn't despite your brokenness, it's because of it. That season when you couldn't get out of bed because depression felt like a 1,000-pound blanket, you thought that was your disqualification. God calls it your education in empathy. Now when someone else can't find the strength to face another day, you don't hand them a Bible verse and walk away. You sit with them in the darkness because you know darkness intimately. You know what it feels like when hope dies, and you have to learn how to breathe again. That financial ruin that forced you to choose between paying rent and buying groceries, you thought that was your failure. God calls it your PhD in provision. Now, when someone else faces impossible choices, you don't lecture them about budgeting. You know what it means to pray over empty cupboards and watch God provide in ways that defy explanation. That prodigal child who broke your heart into 1,000,000 pieces, you thought that was your punishment. God calls it your preparation. Now when another parent sits in their car crying after another phone call from jail, you don't offer empty platitudes. You know the weight of loving someone who's determined to destroy themselves. You know how to pray when words won't come. Here's the shocking truth the enemy never wanted you to discover. Your worst moments weren't your disqualifiers, they were your credentials. Because the scars you carry are not signs of failure, they're the map someone else will follow home. Every wound tells a story of survival. Every scar declares that something tried to destroy you and failed. Every mark on your soul is a testament to the fact that God's grace is sufficient, even when you thought you were beyond saving. The world looks at your scars and sees damage. God looks at your scars and sees directions. He's not ashamed of your story, He's proud of your survival. He's not embarrassed by your wounds, He's amazed by your willingness to keep walking wounded. You thought your pain disqualified you from purpose. Your pain is your purpose. You thought your brokenness made you worthless. Your brokenness makes you priceless to someone who's breaking right now. God chose you not because you're perfect, He chose you because you're real. Not because you have all the answers, because you know what it's like to live in the questions. Not because you've never fallen, because you know how to get back up. The meeting that's coming, the assignment that's waiting, the destiny that's been prepared, it's not for the version of you that never made mistakes. It's for the you that made them and learned from them. It's for the you that fell and rose. It's for the you that broke and healed. If you know this word is yours, type "I receive" and let's agree together. Because your scars aren't your shame, they're your strength. And someone is waiting for you to show them that survival is possible, that healing is real, that God specializes in taking broken things and making them beautiful. The reason He chose you is about to become the reason someone else chooses hope. Listen to me very carefully now. Can you feel it? That stirring in your spirit, that quickening in your chest. That's not anxiety, that's not fear. That's the sound of chains breaking. That's the sound of doors unlocking. That's the sound of heaven saying, "It's time." You came to this moment carrying the weight of decades of disappointment, decades of delay, decades of wondering if you misheard God's voice. But as these words wash over you, something inside is shifting. Something is awakening. Something that's been sleeping under the snow of your winter season is finally stirring to life. The ship that's been anchored in your harbor for years, the one loaded with your dreams, your calling, your destiny. Do you hear that sound? That's the rope being cut. That massive rope that's held you to the dock of delay, the pier of procrastination, the harbor of maybe next year. It's being severed by the sword of divine timing. And the tide. Oh, the tide is turning. Isaiah 60:1 declares, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee." This isn't a suggestion. This isn't a gentle invitation. This is a divine command issued from the throne room of heaven. The tide is pulling you into destiny, and fighting it would be like trying to hold back the Hudson River with your bare hands. You feel it, don't you? That pull in your spirit. That's not imagination. That's not wishful thinking. That's the gravitational force of your purpose, calling you out of the safety of shallow water into the deep places where miracles happen, where giants fall, where the impossible bows its knee to faith. For too long, you've been tied to that dock, watching other ships sail past you, watching younger believers catch winds you thought had passed you by. But their departure wasn't your delay, it was your preparation. While they sailed in calm waters, you've been trained in the storm. While they learned to navigate in daylight, you've learned to hear God's voice in the darkness. The meeting we've been talking about, it's not coming. It's here, right now, in this moment, in this sacred space between what was and what will be. God isn't waiting for you to get your life together. He's not waiting for you to feel worthy. He's not waiting for you to understand the plan. He's here, in this room, in this moment, saying, "Come up here, come up now." There's someone in your life. I can see their face in my spirit. Someone who's been waiting just as long as you have. Someone who's about to give up. Someone who needs to hear that the wait is over. Send this to them. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't think about it. Do it now. Be the voice that calls them out of their cave of disappointment into their cave of destiny. And you, yes, you join this family of chosen ones. We're not just subscribers. We're not just viewers. Chosen one. The wait is over. Walk into the meeting. He's already there. Dear chosen one, as we close this sacred time together, I want you to remember 3 unshakable truths. Your wait has not been wasted, it's been preparation. Your delays have not been denials, they've been divine construction. And your silence from heaven has not been abandonment, it's been alignment for something greater than you dared imagine. You are not walking this journey alone. Right now, across this nation, thousands of others just like you are discovering that their season of waiting is finally over. God is still working in your life, not despite your age, not despite your circumstances, but because of His perfect timing. And here in this community, you have brothers and sisters ready to stand with you, pray with you, and believe with you when your own faith feels fragile. Let me ask you this. What would change in your life if you truly believed that your meeting with destiny starts today? What dreams would you dust off? What prayers would you pray with new boldness? Now, let me pray over you with the authority of someone who's witnessed God's faithfulness for 5 decades. Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul who has stayed with us until this moment. Lord, you see their tears, you know their struggles. You've counted every sleepless night and heard every whispered prayer. Right now, I speak breakthrough over their finances, healing over their bodies, restoration over their relationships, and divine acceleration over their destiny. Open doors that no man can shut. Release resources that have been held up. Heal what the doctors can't fix. Restore what the enemy has stolen. Let them feel your presence so powerfully that doubt becomes impossible and faith becomes unshakable. Give them supernatural strength for the journey ahead and supernatural peace for the battles behind. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Before you go, I need you to do something. In the comments below, type, "My wait is over," and share one thing you're believing God for. Let this community pray with you. And please, share this message with that one person you know who's been waiting too long. Remind them they're not forgotten. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your heart. If this word has touched your soul, please subscribe and join our family. We're moving together now, and we need you with us. Your meeting with destiny begins now. Step forward in faith. He's been waiting for you.